Hello, and welcome to Film Slam Stream's post-film conversation for 1-0. My name is Eric Siler, Professor of Film, Media Arts, and Communications, as well as moderator for this conversation. We are very pleased to be joined by the director of 1-0, Nada ElAzhary. She grew up in Egypt in the cosmopolitan city of Al Dubai. Her academic background is really in psychology and film, and it has allowed her to explore the complexity of human conditions and learn how to tell stories, which she did a really great job in 1-0. She has had the opportunity to gain a lot of film experiences by working on several feature film productions, including Mission Impossible 6. We'll talk to her a little bit about that. And also, she also has the short film 1-0 that you have just seen, and which has been screened at several international film festivals and won awards like Judges Award and Best Short. We look forward to hearing more about that. But first of all, Nada, hello and welcome.
Hi everyone. Hi Eric. Thanks for having me. Ahlan wa sahlan in Arabic.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I'm sure students who are studying Arabic appreciated that greeting. So let's get right into it. 1-0. Okay, it's definitely a play on the football score. And here in the United States, we call it soccer, but so it's definitely a play on that. So a lot of fun. How did you come up with the idea? Are you a soccer football fan?
I think the idea came after I was part of a film program called Arab Film Studio, where it takes you through the whole film experience from A to Z. And the first place obviously is to write a script, and we were in like this writer's room, and I had some colleagues with me that were kind of processing and brainstorming a lot of ideas, and I wanted something really simple, and it kind of morphed, with a lot of dialogue with my colleagues, and I just came up with the idea by connecting the dots between the uh, like the missed message, and then that kind of the dad's infatuation with football, because a lot of Arabs, and especially Egyptians where I come from, are really into football, and it really takes them into a different world, and so I like that comedy and take on that.
Well, very good. You shared with me before we began the location of the filming was actually a hotel room, which you did a fabulous job convincing us that it was an apartment. How long did it take to shoot in the hotel room?
Um, Part of the program was that we had to film over a weekend. So we had 2 days to film the whole entire 10-minute short film. And so we filmed over 2 nights, night shoot. So it was the mornings we were setting up the location, nights we were shooting, and then we set up the second room, and then we shot that second half of the film. And then by the morning we were wrapping up and taking everything out and leaving it spotless as we took it. So
Well, that's really good to do that in a short amount of time. How long did the entire process take from writing the script to shooting to editing?
I would say it took about 6 months. We started writing in January and we finished the production in May. So yeah, it was about 5 months and then a month to edit with an editor. So about 6 months, yeah.
Okay, yeah, very smart, very cute way to actually get it done. Let's talk a little bit about the production design. That gets overlooked a lot. You spent a lot of time actually working with the production design besides getting the set pieces in place. You had to actually transform a hotel room, the costuming in place for the characters and so forth. Can you talk a little bit about the entire process and all that you did to really convince us that this was, actually took place where it took place?
Yeah, I think it always starts with the script. You try in the script to kind of portray, or you visualize as much as you can, and you write for the screen. And so when you do that, you kind of put in details that help you later on apply what was written into like an actual production, that translates on the screen to the reality that you've imagined. And so we including the character development. We had, like, when I write the character, it's not just writing what they're saying, but I have in mind their background, her relationship with her dad, her relationship with her mom, the dynamics, and that kind of influences what they're going to be wearing. Their character influences the style of their outfits, the nails the girl had, the room, and how maybe she's still naive and a little bit kind of fun and quirky, and she has all these small, like, colorful things in her room, was influenced by her character. And so that is kind of the driving force that went and took the film from the writing on paper until it appeared on the screen. And then obviously, yeah, you have some restrictions when you're kind of producing, because you have like limited maybe funding, or you have limited space to fit in everything you want, and so you work around something in the middle. There's always a middle ground that you have to compromise. But I'm glad I didn't have to compromise a lot, or I worked as best as I can to get it the way it was. So
Right. So that's very interesting how you did an analysis of the character. Did you analyze the characters before you wrote the script or while you were writing the script? Talk a little bit about that.
so I was really grateful for the program, the Air Film Studio, because when we still had the idea and the theme in mind, and kind of the beginning, like bits and pieces, when, even though we didn't have a complete script ready, if we just had the first scene or two in mind, the character development we had to write bios for every character that we had on the screen, what their background was, what their like darkest secret that they've never told anyone, what's their favorite hobby, and stuff that would never come on the screen. But that kind of stimulates the interactions, and so that kind of helped me, if you say make the script more mature, in a way, and it's not shallow or not just on the surface. Yeah.
Yeah, that came through really well. The analysis. I mean, you analyzing the characters. Speaking of characters, the cast. Did you hold auditions for the characters, or did you know any of them? How did that work out?
I did hold a big casting call, and then I did have a lot of people come in, and it was really, really tricky actually with the young girls, because initially I had in mind a much younger age. I was hoping like to get girls in 9-year-old, 10-year-old girls, just to show the very, like, a lot more younger has a different mindset and a different way of acting. But then once I got the casting and I saw the girls acting the way they were, I found that this character would work best if you have her a bit older. And so I pushed the age to be like between 13, 14, 15, that early teenagehood. And that was a really good thing that came out of casting call, but it also meant that I have to keep looking for a girl for the cast. And so I just asked friends, and I wanted girls who weren't necessarily had a background in acting. I just wanted them to be more natural. So I just trained with them, and we did some training to get them like in the mood and in the characters without feeling like they're performing. With the dad, I actually worked on a film set before on a production, and I became friends with the director. So I messaged him and asked him if he had worked with any actors that would fit this, would fit my dad character, and he did. He recommended an actor that has worked like on some of my films, and he was really kind to be on my film and kind of took on the dad character really well. So it worked out.
Well, this is really good to hear the development process of this film. Is there a particular aspect in filmmaking that you enjoy the best? Because you have to switch roles from the writer, the researcher, to the producer, to the director, to working with the editor. What process of the film production process do you enjoy the most?
I think I'm still learning. I definitely like being a director. I feel like if I'm convinced by the script and I like the story, that I can hopefully have a voice and be able to tell it. But I'm currently working as a producer on documentary filmmaking, so I put a very different hat on, and I still like it. It's good on problem solving skills. It's good to be on your feet, and you know, it gets you out there, and with the people, kind of, you're interacting with so many different people. So I'm still deciding. Each have their own like difficulties and challenges, and each of them has like their own creative outlook. But I think I fall in between, maybe a director, producer somehow.
All right, very good. I just want to remind everyone we're talking with the director of 10, Nada ElAzhary. ElAzhary. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your last name. If you have questions, please put them into the Q&A portal, and we'll get to them as time allows. Yes, interesting that you like working as between producing and directing. When actually filming this, I noticed, was this a 2-camera shoot that you used, or?
It's a one camera.
One camera shoot, okay. One camera shoot with that. But then again, as you're directing the actors and so forth, you know, what is that like? If you're directing the actors, you notice something, say, oh, that's off in the background. So you have to take off that director's hat and become like the producer and say, oh, I want that fixed. They have to get back and work with the characters. What was that like, trying to play different roles as you were actually directing?
I think it really helped that I got to know the actors before I met them. I worked with them. We also took a long time to kind of set up everything, and I rehearsed and blocked all the scenes. So it wasn't that part worked well. So it gave me time to kind of balance things out if things went wrong on set. But I also had a team of a production manager who was helping out with any paperwork, kind of setting up all the behind the scenes, like break time, snacks, things that keep the crew happy. And I did have some assistants like helping out, that were like some of my friends, or like friends from university, that were just willing to just give some time and be there on set. So they gave me a huge push and eased me into becoming like the director, and focusing on that a lot more, and not having to worry about the problems that pop up every production.
Right, exactly. And with that, how large was your crew? How many people did you cram
We
into
tried,
that hotel room?
yeah, we tried to minimize really small locations. So we had about, I think it was a maximum of 15 people with the actors and stuff. We just, whoever had to be there just stayed, and then everyone else sat out or went back home, just depending on the time.
Right, yes, a really cramped space with that. Okay, yes, let's go talk more about the specifics of the film in terms of the story. The story itself, you know, Layla, you know, her friends, you know, want to flirt with boys. And, you know, you had 2 different contrasting characters, Dina, kind of sassy, you had Mona, kind of nerdy and so forth, and did a great job with the costuming, and Dina with the makeup being more sassy, and Layla trying to be like neutral and so forth with that happening. Um, is this something, when the story came about, did the actual teenagers give you any input on this, on the acting when you were working with them, since they were
Yeah, I
much
think
younger?
it felt natural that, like, when I saw some of the characters, the girls, like in real life, and then I tried to compare them with what I had in mind. Some of them fell naturally into that position, and so they kind of, when we were rehearsing, it wasn't hard for them to kind of put on that role in a sense. But also, I had to talk with them about the character and explain to them why she was doing this and the rationale behind it, and kind of give them the understanding, so they kind of embodied it as well. So it was a lot of back and forth. We did change a few things. I remember when we were blocking, based on when the girls all came together, and you had to rehearse the scene. Well, some things didn't work out, or like we had to do it a few times, and we're like, okay, let's hold off like for a beat, and then throw the phone, or kind of, when you hold the phone that way, touch it that way. And that was kind of a dialogue with the girls.
Well, well, good. One thing, you had some comedic elements in the film too, such as when Layla accidentally sent a text to her dad. Dina and Mona decided, okay, it's time to go. When they were ready to leave, they bumped into each other. Was that done on purpose, or did you tell them to bump into each other to add to the comedic effect?
That was on purpose. That was a beat that I had planned,
Mhm.
and we actually have behind the scenes shots where they try to bump into each other, but they can't, or they bump the wrong way. And I remember, I think I put it in the credits at the end where they bumped and then all her backs fell and like they started laughing, and so we had to redo it again.
Yeah, I noticed that in the outtakes with that. We have one question, interesting question that's come in. When the dad deleted the text, is that customary for Arabic people not to have their children communicate in English? So I guess they're asking, is that something that's could really happen?
That was a question raised because it was kind of his input. So he's to give you a background, the dad is an Arabic teacher. And so the point of conflict between him and Layla is that she is kind of taking on that role of speaking more English, and he's kind of unhappy with that, and he's very attached to the Arabic language, and he wants to speak with her about Arabic, and he's so taken by the language. And so when she sent it in Arabic as a kind of a punishment, or to show her that he wouldn't like talk to her unless she speaks in Arabic, that he would delete the message and tell her like, if you want to talk to me, you can only talk to me in Arabic. And that's, I think, a lot of families are nowadays, because of the English influence, are trying to force their children to speak in Arabic, especially at home. And I know a lot of friends in abroad who live in countries like English-speaking countries, where they try to retain or conserve the Arabic language by only speaking Arabic at home, even though that's harder for the kids. Obviously, it's like between two worlds. But I think that was my take on how the dad is kind of dealing with that, or trying to hold on to that Arabic language in a way by kind of punishing her when it wasn't really a punishment for her. It was like she got off the hook with it. So
She definitely did. This leads to the next question that's come in. What would have happened if the dad actually read the text?
Ooh, I suppose, I think that's interesting, because I never really put that alternative in my head, but I think it would have happened as, I think so. So Layla kind of exaggerated it a lot in her head. The dad probably wouldn't have understood the message, because it's written in the way Arabs now speak in English, but in Arabic at the same time. It's really strange, but to pronounce Arabic letters, we write numbers. And so a lot of older generation or parents would not understand what the kids would be writing. And so I know parents who, if you write 3ATA or like whatever that word is, they wouldn't understand what that means. So I think he would have read it, he wouldn't have understood it. He'd tell her like rephrase it or something. Sorry to, no, he wouldn't punish her. I feel like he wouldn't punish her. I know from my like impressions of him, that he'd just be confused or like blow it off, or say something about it that isn't as big as it was in her head.
Okay, that's good to know. And a couple quick questions. One I have is, did you have any, what kind of programs, TV shows, or films have influenced you in terms of your writing and directing? I guess looking at something like this, we see a lot of things here on the Disney Channel. This could easily be on that channel. Do you have any influences that influence you for this particular film?
It's funny because all my influences are English, like American shows and stuff. I grew up watching Full House, and I still watch it every now and then because it's such a laid back, kind of funny TV show to watch. So I think that I had in mind was like the dad and the Tanners, like the whole family kind of interacting with each other, and the girls always falling in trouble somehow. So I think that was a lot of it. But in terms of the visual, it had a different feel to it, obviously.
Yes. Exactly, but the comedy still did come across very innocently. Well, this has been a lot of fun. We're almost out of time. Can you tell us what you're working on next, and what can we expect to see from you in the near future?
So I've switched gears a bit, and I'm working now with a documentary production. So we're working on a documentary film, like an hour long, in Dubai. I can't really talk too many details because we're still in the production phase, But it's a new thing in documentary filmmaking in the region. We haven't been producing a lot of high quality, like long 1 hour long content. So it's definitely a big production, and I think I hope it's going to be broadcast internationally. But yeah, I'm really happy to be working in documentary. It's a good balance for me with the psychology background and helps me interact with a lot of people.
It does. And I guess interacting with a lot of people and different experiences. One experience you had was working on Mission Impossible 6. What did you do on that film?
I started off as an intern, location assistant intern, and then as we went along the shoot, they wanted someone helping with the assistant director. So I think third assistant director for a bit towards the end of the shoot. So it was good. It was good experience on both ends. It kind of gave me access to a lot of different scene like areas and people and working with different crew members.
Yes, access to a lot of different people. Did you meet anyone special?
I did. I met Tom Cruise. We had because we weren't a big crew filming the scene, the Halo scene, the one where he jumped off the plane, and so we were a small crew and we got to know each other really well. And we at some point Tom Cruise would meet up with us in the mornings to kind of brief us on the day and how the shoot's going to go. And so we'd stand in a circle with the director, Chris McHugh, and with Tom Cruise, and we'd listen to him and talking with the DP and discussing all the details, very intricate details. And so he knew a lot of his crew by name, and I really liked that he kind of knew the people, producing the film for him. And towards the end, actually, we got I got to go up and say thank you to him for like the opportunity, and I can't wait to see it on screen. And it was really kind to kind of just let me
Well,
like. Yeah.
that's good. I understand Tom Cruise did something special for you.
Yes, when I said when we wrapped the film and it was like time to say goodbye, I asked him if he could say a word to my mom because she really liked talking to like that fact I was working with Tom Cruise or like that I saw him, and so he's kind enough to say hi to her on the phone.
Okay, and can you share that with us?
Let me share.
Okay.
Hi, Annette. Hi, Annette. Hi, Annette. Hi, Annette. How are you?
You said hi, finally.
Say hello.
Hello.
She worked very hard. Did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you for all your help.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
This is a quick second, but it made my mom's day, so it was a nice touch.
I bet it did. Well, it probably made your day too as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's really good. You've taken the time to work at your craft, prepare yourself. You've had, the opportunity of Mission Impossible 6 and other opportunities. So just congratulations on all of your success and all that you have done.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I'm really glad the film is able to be screened at so many places and so many people are able to see it and there's room for dialogue around it. And I'm happy to answer any questions. If anyone would love to have any more questions answered, I'm happy to be reached out. So let me know.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you for letting us know that. And in general, can you just sum up the reaction to 1-0, how people have received the film?
I think what made it worthwhile, I think the process was hard and obviously challenging with so many unexpected, turns and stuff. But I think once it was screened for the first time at least, and I didn't know how the people would react. It was the first time kind of that premiere. And I was sitting there kind of curled up and I was like, oh, I don't know, are they gonna laugh when they're supposed to? And people were laughing. And I was kind of touched by the fact that, for at least 10 minutes, people, enjoyed the film. And for whatever reason, they've escaped whatever thoughts they had, or if they're having a hard time, that kind of took them off of that for a bit. And hopefully maybe they related to it in some way. Maybe someone forgot and sent a message by accident to someone and they kind of related to that and liked it and laughed. So it was nice and lighthearted, and I was happy to have people come up to me and say they liked it and enjoyed it.
It's good to see that, because we need more films like that to make us laugh, especially during these times. So thank you once again for everything. And we have some Arabic language students that are probably watching. Can you say a special goodbye to them in Arabic?
Yeah, of course. شكرا، وإن شاء الله تكون عجبكم الفيلم، ولو في أي حاجة تتواصلوا معايا أكيد.
Well, thank you for that. And thank you, Nada ElAzhary, for joining us today for this important and invigorating conversation. And thank you, students and teachers, for allowing us to spend some time with you. If you're interested in learning more about the upcoming 45th Cleveland International Film Festival, please visit our social media or visit clevelandfilms.org. I'm Eric Siler. Thank you.